Whoa, whoa. We've been sleeping too long. Now the warning is clear. Our streets don't feel British, and the end's drawing near. They divided the right while the numbers kept rising. Time to stop the talking. It's time for deciding. Join Restore or be no more. Join Restore or be no more. Stand up together, fight for our shore. Join Restore or be no more. Millions must go, send them back where they came. You must speak English, we don't care for the game. No more excuses, speak English or get out. Learn our traditions, don't force us to learn yours. Respect our culture or head straight for the doors. This is Britain, we don't bow to foreign laws. Join Restore or be no more. Join Restore or be no more. Stand up together, fight for our shore. Join Restore or be no more. No more grooming gangs, no more two-tier rules, no more foreign flags flying over our schools. Put Britain first, protect our kids and our land. If you won't stand with us, then you don't understand. From the 4 nations, one people, one flag in the sky. No more division, it's do or it's die. No more talking, no more fear. The hour is late and the moment is here. Join Restore or be no more. Join Restore or be no more. Millions must go, send them back to the shore. You must speak English or you're out the door. Join Restore or be no more. Join Restore or be no more.
Morning, guys. Hope we're all well. To Dubai. Congratulations, my lady. You're the first one to reach the rank of lieutenant. Yeah. Well done. Hope you're going to be a... Don't tell me it's Jack. Lady Jack would be a bit strange, wouldn't it? Or Lady James, John, Julie, Janet. Give us a clue. Come on. Give us a clue, Lady J. Getting coffee.
locked us down where the freedom once shone. In our own green land, now the rights are all gone. They said we're safe, but the borders are wide, while our streets fill up with the waves of the tide. We're not criminals, we're the sons of this soil, yet they call us bigots when we dare to recall. From London to Belfast, the same old refrain. They sell out our future future for globalist gain.
Free, free, I just wanna be free as the wind on the Antrim Hills, free as the sea. Free, free, I just wanna be where the Union Jack flies proud and free. So strike up the drum, let me show them my flag. Let the pipes play the old tunes our fathers once sang. Open the gates, let us stand once again as free men of Britain, defending our land.
They cut off the winter fuel, left the older ones to freeze, while hotels shine bright for the boats on the breeze. Two-tier justice, two-tier rules, they protect the invaders but chain up the few. Our kids can't afford them in the towns where they grew, but the checks keep flowing to the ones passing through. No more surrender, no more shame, we're rising again in our Father's name.
Free, free, I just wanna be free as the wind on the island breaks, free as the sea. Free, free, I just wanna be where the Union Jack lies proud and free. So strike up the drum, let me show them my flag. Let the pipes play the old tunes our fathers once sang. Open the gates, let us stand once again as free men of Britain, defending our land.
They call us far right, they smear and they lie, but the truth's in the streets, you can see it in our eyes. We've seen the betrayal, we felt the cold hand of leaders who sold out our once proud land. So raise up the banner, shout out the call, for Britain undivided, we'll never fall.
Free, free.
GSTV, sorry about throwing your friend in the slammer. He should think before he speaks, shouldn't he? We let him out in a while. I think you're going to have to re-educate him. Do you want to come up the mic and talk about it? Or shall we keep it offline? He's basically a good guy, isn't he? He's got a lot to learn. He made some basic mistakes in here yesterday when he confused Ulster, Northern Ireland, with Ireland, you know? He hasn't been in the game long. Okay, I'll put a link in. 1 second. There you go, mate. Come on in. What? What? What do you mean you disobeyed their order? You didn't let him, you didn't chuck him in the dungeon? Oh, true. Yeah, I gave you full autonomy. That's only fair. That stops me executing them, doesn't it? Probably for the best. Otherwise, it'd be straight out into the courtyard with them with me. And then afterwards, I think, I wish I hadn't done that. Oh, well, okay. Ribeye, I hold you responsible. I hold you responsible. Are we in? God, this new keyboard's supposed to be silent. Cost £30 odd.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning,
Yeah,
GST. How are you?
Not
It's
too
okay.
bad, thank you. Not too bad. Like I said, I was supposed to come on yesterday. I thought, you know what? Because I've done quite a bit, and I wanted to see how everybody was going because I've been really busy with work. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't get much sleep the previous night, and then I ended up going to Cornwall for the day. So I ended up falling asleep at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. To be honest with you, I didn't wake up until 11 o'clock at night. So yeah, it was an interesting one.
Yeah, I bet it was. Cornwall, what a beautiful place. Devon, Cornwall.
Yeah, I mean, some of the towns are really run down, unfortunately, but the scenery is beautiful.
I stayed in Polperro for a while. That was
Oh,
interesting. And
yeah, I did like
Clovelly.
all. Yeah, I did like Falmouth and St Ives all around there. St Austell was my last drop, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've ever seen so many smackheads. It's crazy.
You know, my last holiday that I took was in 1988, and I went
Oh,
touring
wow.
Devon and Cornwall. Yeah.
Mm.
And then after that, I was too stupid career and everything. Too busy wrapped up in my career to take a break. Stupid.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, I was in business for 4 years, and out of those 4 years, I had 3 days off. And each of those
Yeah.
3 days off was Christmas Day. So yeah, and then I look back on it now and I just thought, you stupid fool. You know, I should have
Yes.
just you give myself at least once a week off or something like that, but I didn't.
Yeah. Well. Hey, listen, I was talking to Vindicator, and he's, I don't know how far away from you he is, but he's going to the May the 4th rally or on the Monday. Are you far away from him?
I mean, I'll be at work on Monday, so I won't be able to do that. I'm going to Derby this Sunday though, and there's talks of going back to Nottingham next weekend as well.
Okay.
So if those happen, I'll be going to those, because my main thing is since I received the the death threats and people just playing games with me, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to come into your face. If you're going to hide behind a keyboard, I'm going to come to where you are, and I'm going to say, right then, okay, you called me a coward. I offered you to have a straightener, because I was called a thug. One of them called me a thug and said, oh, you're violent because, you're trying to get him to go into a cage fighting ring. But I said, well, there was him and his friend, so there was 2 against 1. So more than likely I would have lost. But he was just trying to make out that I was a coward. So my argument was always a case as well. I'm not a coward, and I've said you can even raise some money for whatever charity you want or something like that. But he stopped messaging me back now, so I'm assuming he said no. But I said my whole point was he called me a coward first. You see what I mean? Like videos of me walking up and down the line. How can you call me a coward? You could have. My table was at the side for over 2 hours. Like I was sat there thinking, before I got up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to give them a chance to come to me. I spoke to the police and said, will you just let them come to the table? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So it was all arranged. But nobody talked to me for the first few hours. And then I was called a coward, ironically, but there we go.
Yeah. But
so I've offered to go to the university hall. I've said, fill it with 50 to 100 of your people if you want, and I'll come. Yeah. I'll come.
But the thing is, they know you're not a coward. They do this just to wind you up and to get a reaction from you. It's the same when they accuse me, and over the years, of never being in the military. They know that that's not true, but they're hoping to get a rise and a response out of me, which I used to do in the early days, be a bit frustrating. And then in the end, you realize they're just a pile of steaming shit, and it's just best to ignore them. You can never educate them.
I do think, this is my honest, but respectfully, my one thing that I would say at the minute, everything at the minute is online. Everything could be seen. Loads of people watch channels like this and other channels and stuff like that. So it's there in your face, and this is what, so my point is, I want to play it, that game. That's my idea. Whether or not it kind of comes off or something like that. Like, for example, the 2 death threats that they made, I'm going to get them printed out on a T-shirt, and I'm going to stand next to them when they're at Barclays, and I'm going to have my megaphone and say, these are the kind of people that you're dealing with here. Do you see what I mean? So they are kind of getting a rise out of me, but it's not the kind of rise that they probably think they're going to get. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, make it into a game. Why not? It's good.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process. So I'm quite looking forward to it, to be honest with you. But it's just about having the time. I want to try and get a I want to look at getting a driving job that is more suited for what I want to do. Because at the minute, like I say, I'd love to go around town centres and stuff in the evening time, you know, with a high vis and document people, you know, in London and Nottingham and Derby and places like that. But the problem that you've got is my average bedtime is between 6 and 8 o'clock.
Right.
Because I'm usually I'm setting my alarm clock for about midnight to anywhere till, put it this way, if I'm setting my alarm clock for 2 o'clock in the morning, that's a lie-in for me at the minute.
Wow. Yeah.
So,
that's not much of a life, though. That can't be fun for your family, can it?
Yeah, see, this is the thing. On the one hand, you think about it, but I am always there in the afternoon when they finish school.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, at the minute, I've got a bow and arrow, and I'm teaching them how to shoot.
Excellent.
You know, like just stuff like that, boxing in the back garden every single day without fail. So I can be there hands-on on that respect. You know, if I got, and that's the thing I've got to kind of look at and sacrifice. But like I said to my partner, you know, obviously we clash quite a lot at the minute, especially over the death threats and stuff like that. We've had quite a few late night arguments about it, which I understand from her point of view. But my argument back to her is always a case of this is bigger. This is bigger than our children. You know, this is bigger than everything. This is about all of their futures. You know. So we're never going to see eye to eye on that one.
You have to be careful, GSD, because there was a time I would put, maybe still would if push come to shove, I put Nick Griffin, leader of the BNP, before my wife, because she said, who would you save if there was a fire? What a question. My wife or Nick Griffin. At the time I said I'd have to save Nick Griffin because he can save the country. Much as I love you. Yeah. How far you can go. That's how far you can be radicalized, if you like. If I am radicalized, I don't think I'm radicalized because I've been like this since I was 15. So
no, this is the thing. I like the main thing for me, and this is what I turn around and say, like, at the end of the day, there has to come a point. Maybe if things were a bit more liberal, shall we say, then it would be all right. But the problem that you've got is, like you say, everybody's getting locked up at the minute for saying things. And my argument to her is always a case of, at some point we will see the light. It might just have to get to a point where me and a few other people have to spend months in solitary confinement because we are actually exposing what's going on. So, you know, it's just, you get what I mean?
Of course I do. I've expected to be I expect to be arrested almost every single day. My wife is not happy about it, you know, again, because we're going through it again. My brother has phoned me up and said, for fuck's sake, Paul, don't you ever learn? And I said, someone's got to speak out. Someone's got to be the green arrow.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be the great societal take back, you know?
100%.
And hopefully one day, like I remember the Patriots when I was your age, after I came out the Navy, the ones, and some of them were old Mosleyites, that's true. They were from the League of St. George. Oh, there were so many different sort of groupings, you know. I remember them. I went to their funerals, and one day people will go to mine and say, I remember the Green Arrow. He tried. He did his bit. And hopefully they'll say the same thing about you. Just don't want to be a martyr. I don't mind being a martyr at my
100%.
age.
And that's the main thing I've got to look at, you know. Yeah, that's my main thing. Like, if it has to be, it has to be. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm scared of dying, but obviously I do want to see my kids grow to be adults. I do want to have grandchildren, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like you know, it is like the difference between now and back when I was in the forces, for example. I joined the forces, and other people join the forces for whatever reason they do. I had a terrible childhood, so I joined to get away from my childhood, to be honest with you. And that's that. I did it for my own selfish reasons. I wasn't one to be like, I want to fight for my country, you know. But now I've kind of got out, looked at what actually we were fighting for, seen that I disagree with 90% of it, if not more. And now I'm like, right, now is the time to fight for my country. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do indeed. I was lucky GST. I had fantastic mother and father. My life ranged from extreme poverty as a child to luxury. I never knew at school whether I'd be picked up in a jag or whether I'd be walking home from school as a kid. But my parents always loved us, and I was one of 5 brothers. So we were really, I thought everyone had the same sort of upbringing. I thought their parents loved them the way my parents loved me, the bonds with my brothers. I thought all families were like that. And it wasn't until I was about, must have been 10 or 11, that I realized that some children my age didn't have the good life or a loving family to nurture them. And you sounds like you were one of those unfortunate people. Anyhow, what are we going to do with Great Western?
Absolutely. And this is why
we lose a new GST. We lose a new GST.
Literally.
Okay, I think
to give my children a future, you know. I'd like to think I've instilled the values that to NatWest.
Your connections.
To be honest, can you hear me all right, yeah?
Not really, mate. You keep breaking up. Don't know where you are. Okay, it can't be helped, guys. Houston, we have a problem. I remember that. I even remember where I was during the moon landing. I was manning the search and rescue system on board HMS Bulwark. I think it was out in the Indian Ocean. I see they had some, they've published photographs now. That seems to have answered the thing about whether the Americans went there. Looking at the photographs of they've taken of the original landing and the equipment scattered around the place. Yeah, we've lost the guy. Pity. I wanted to learn about GST. I haven't got a video out yet. I'm ribeye. Trying to get a video out about Carl Benjamin, Sargon of Akkad, and also there was another Great Yarmouth, the guys campaigning there. What a wonderful sight to see all those patriots out campaigning. Can't wait for it. People say, why don't you organise a Restore Britain branch in my area? I know I could. But I know what would happen. It always happens here. I've been a member, officer of the Constitutional Club and an officer in the rugby club. And the work just gets piled on. And then I wouldn't have no time to do the YouTube channel if I was to try and organise a Restore Britain group in my area. Apart from that, I'm waiting to see if any of them is a natural leader and they decide to do it themselves. Bit of an experiment, really, isn't it? Will one of them rise to the top? I know if I went down and said there's going to be a Restore Britain thing and I'm going to have a meeting in the institution, probably get a lot of people there, but none of them would be natural leaders. You are? Oh, you are. Yeah. Okay, should we carry on with that song?
I just wanna be free as the wind on the snow-dome peaks, free as the sea, free. I just wanna be that where the Union Jack flies proud and free. So strike up the drum, let me show them my flag. Let the pipes play the old tunes our fathers once
Stay there.
Open the gates, let us stand once again as free men of Britain, defending our land. I just wanna be free as the wind on the ocean moors, free as the sea. Free, free. I just wanna be out where the Union Jack flies proud and free. So strike up the drum, shoulder the load for the land of our fathers down the long road. No surrender, no chains, no more lies. We're the free men of Britain under our skies.
What happened there?
We've walked through storms, we faced the night, but still we stand for what is right. Our fathers built this land so free, and the spirit lives in you and me.
They fought in war through my
Is he back? I don't know. Microphone is muted. Just reading this. Let's, while we're waiting to see, let's go over here a second. Share this. Rupert Lowe surpasses Ed Davey and Paul's. Yeah. Ed Davey, I can't stand the man. Whatever you say.
He's the biggest joke in politics, isn't he?
Yeah, let's get back to the. Let's get back here. Are you back, GST?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Talk a bit more, please.
Yeah, can you hear me all right? Is that all right?
So. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good, good. Yeah, sorry, like I say, the signal just completely went.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Ed Davey, I'll say one thing. Ed Davey's the biggest joke in politics, to be honest with you. He's one of them, like, the thing with Zach Polanski, obviously he's an enemy to the people and he's a complete threat, but he's honest and says it how it is. That Ed Davey, in the world of flip-floppers, he's the biggest one.
Yes.
So, but yeah. But in terms of Nat, sorry, yeah, go on.
No, go on. You carry on, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of Nat, you know, I've known Nat since I was 14, you know. He's very much like me, you know. We don't really have any friends, you know. I mean, I've not really had any friends properly outside of the service. I had a few, but when I was going through my problems with alcohol, I lost them all, and rightly so, you know. We used to go out drinking, and I used to choose women over friends, and I just used to do silly things like, you know, just go randomly for walks and stuff like that, and just do stupid things. You know, I was just too much of a child, you know. So people just distance themselves from me, which I accept, and I hold my hands up, and it's pretty much why I'm teetotal now. So, but since then, I've just really struggled to make friends, and so is he. But he's always flip-flopped from one cause to another, trying to fit in from somewhere. But he doesn't research these things. You see what I mean? He doesn't look at things like from all different directions. Like me, I overanalyze. I've got to look at everything before I even speak. Like I would never speak about something that I haven't analyzed. He will, but then he'll just defend everybody, and then he'll think that it's everybody else's problem and not his, unfortunately. But he'll learn one day. You know, there's been times, I promise you this, GA, there's been times where he's stopped talking to me for about 6 months, to be honest with you, because I've told him he's wrong on something. So, you know, don't worry about it. It's like I say, I'd never. Sorry.
What about his childhood? What sort of childhood did he have? Is he from an happy background?
So I mean, he wasn't like mine. You know, I mean, my dad walked out after a couple of hours of me being born, and I grew up with my mum not wanting me, to be honest with you, which always quite hit me hard. But his mum was very like liberal. Like I'm sure he said that before, but she was still a good mum. You know, I mean, I spent quite a lot of time there, and she was always good to me. she was just, like I say, she was just very liberal. But I think as she started to open her eyes a bit more, you know, because she worked in the care industry. And I'll be honest with you, being somebody that's worked in the care industry, most people that do work in that are very liberal. You know, you'll see the children like killing animals, you know, like doing evil things.
Yes.
And they always look at it from a left-wing mindset. And it's like, I always tell them it's the wrong way to go about it. And it's the reason why social care at the minute, it's leading from emotion rather than leading from kind of like logic. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when people,
I understand it.
yeah, people turn around to me all the time and say to me, "Oh, you've worked in care. Isn't that Reform Council really evil for saying that kids in care are really, really evil?" And I say, well, no, it's not. You know, like don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things I don't agree with Reform. I'm not going to sit here and speak out and hold my flag for Reform. But what he said there was very, very accurate. I've seen people's lives be completely ruined by the kids that I've worked with. Do you see what I mean? And like,
yeah,
but the logic with it, and this is where I always come back to it, and I even address this in one of my videos. I say, it's not their fault. No child is born evil. But you have to sit down there logically with them and say, this isn't going to work for you, right? This is the way, this is the path you've got to go down. I did that path myself. I'll be honest with you. I was pushing drugs for, you know, like the local gang in Nottingham. You know, I was doing all sorts of stupid stuff. And I thought I was the man, you know, I was fighting. You know, I mean, I had to get my name changed because my biological father, he was involved in a lot of gangs and stuff like that. And, you know, so it was one vicious cycle after another. And it was the army that sorted me out. Like, I just remember one day I had a talk with a copper, and this is why I will always turn around and say, no matter how bad and two-tiered the system does get, there are good individual policemen out there. They just need to be given a safe platform to be able to do something. But this one copper turned around to me and he said, why don't you go in there and sort yourself out? And I did.
Well, it worked out, didn't it?
And it makes me emotional talking about it, to be honest with you. It was the best thing anybody's ever done for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you say that. I'm not sure I totally agree with you about children can't be born evil. When you live in a small community like this, you get an opportunity to watch children grow. Then you can see them get married, and then you can watch their children grow. This one particular child, I won't mention his name, but he was purely evil and cruel from a very, very young age, and we were aware of the cruelty towards frogs and animals when he was tiny, and we watched him grow up. And do you know what happened? He died. Can't remember how he come to die, but he died at a very, very young age, and about 11 or 12. And do you know what the landlord of the pub done? He jumped up on the pool table and danced. There was no mourning for that child in our village at all. The things he done were pure evil. And
yeah, I mean, my question to that, sorry to butt in, was what were the parents doing all the time that he was doing that?
Parents didn't give a shit.
But that's what I'm saying. This is my thing. This is my problem. My problem is, like, every child, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's about having that. It's about having that kind of mindset. Do you see what I mean?
But
and that's the problem. Like, I will say this, and I will open up, and I'll say, my son, obviously I've got 2 stepchildren and 1 child. My son, he's mildly autistic, and he can sometimes have an evil mindset. But I will literally, like, this is the thing, like, when he goes to his mum, he might do certain things, but straight away I have to bash that out of him. Like, I have to turn around and say, no, you're not doing it. I've dragged him out of supermarkets, I've dragged him out of his mum's, and I've smacked him. And people can outlaw smacking, but I'm sorry, I'll do it again if needs be. And you know what? Since his mum's turned around and says, you know what, you're right, I'm kind of raising a monster here, she's let me take over, and he's coming on leaps and bounds. That's the thing. You know, and that's the reality of it. You can smack a child one day and think you can go to bed feeling bad, but the reality of it is, it didn't do anything for you. It didn't do anything wrong for you, did it? I bet when you get smacked as a child, other people got smacked as a child. Didn't do them any favors. It didn't do them any harm. And the kids nowadays walking around town and stuff like that, causing trouble. You go home to their parents, and they just probably sat there on the sofa, not giving a shit.
Yeah. Now, my father took a different approach. My father never laid a hand on any of his sons, neither did my mother. He did something much worse. He'd sit me down in a chair opposite him, and he would lecture me. And he would tell me what I had done wrong, why you shouldn't shoot your brother in the head with a dart gun. And in the end, I'd think, oh, for God's sake, Dad, just beat me and get it over with. But no more lecturing. Yeah. So that's one way of doing it.
And to be honest with you, that worked for you guys clearly well, because you know you're a very respectable man. You know, you've got your head on your shoulders. For me, I'll be honest with you, I say this from experience. I probably needed that whooping. I honestly probably needed that whooping. You know, and I always say this to everybody. I quote everybody who sits there and listens to me long enough waffle on. I always tell this one story. Like I said, I went in my room. I was with all the Welsh Guards in my room. There was about 16 of us, and my lance sergeant, obviously full screw in normal army terms, full corporal. He was doing the locker inspection, and he said something was out of place. And this was like one of the very first days that I was there. And he was like, "Right, this is not wrong." And I looked at it and said, "No, it's not." And he looked at me like I'd literally just pissed all over his chips. He'd got this lovely dinner made by his wife, and I just pissed all over it. He looked at me with the most evil remark, and he punched me square in the stomach. And I got up, and I was like, "I'm going to flipping have you now." And I said, "You've just flipping hit me." He said, "No, I haven't." I said, "Yes, you have. That's assault." He said, "No, I haven't." And he turned around to the rest of the room. I said, "Any of you that saw me hit this young man, raise your hand now." How many people do you think put their hand up?
None.
Exactly. And I was just like, wow. And you know what? He took me into the room and he said, this isn't fucking daycare, mate. This is the army. You either want to be here or you don't. And I'll be honest with you. I said, no, fuck that. I'm signing off. I'm getting out. So I'll be honest with you, because I was under 18 at the time, I needed to get my mum's permission to come out. Yeah. So I turned around and rang my mum. And I said, right, I want to get out. And you know what she said to me? I knew you wouldn't make it. Oh. So my trauma from my childhood and my anger towards my mum is the only reason I stayed in the army.
Wow.
Because I just thought, you know what? Stuff you, I'm going to do this now. And I went in there, I apologized, and I took the worst beasting ever. I literally had to make my entire bed space outside of my block and sleep outside. And you know what? Out of the 3 days that I did it, it rained for 2 of them. And you know what? After that, he turned around and said, "Well done there, mate." And he cut me some slack. And at my passing out parade, I was given the award for best improved recruit.
Oh, well, that's encouraging.
Yeah. And I literally think back and I think to myself, he didn't necessarily realise it, but he was probably the only father figure I've ever had in my life. And I think back on it quite a lot, to be honest with you. It's sad, really, because he probably doesn't realise that. But if I ever meet him again, I'll probably and I spend quite a lot of time in beautiful Wales. So if I ever pass him, I'll tell him.
No, do tell him. When I was the radio operator on board HMS Kedleston, I was I think 19. The captain was a guy called C.S. Christopher Stafford. He was a lieutenant commander. When we commissioned the ship, there was only him and I. I was his doubled up as the ship's radio operator. I doubled up as the captain's secretary. And there were only 2 of us because the ship was being commissioned in refit, the dockyard workers. If the ship was gutted, being rebuilt, so you didn't need a crew, just him and I. He was the commanding officer designate. And we spent so many hours together working, with me banging away on the typewriter at an old Imperial, and we become, well, like friends. And the guy had my back all the time I was on that ship. He used to cut me some slack because I could get out of order, as you know what the Welsh are like. Anyhow, a few years ago, I thought, that man, that officer was great. he really helped me in my life. And I thought, I'm going to track him down. And I tracked him down, and he died a month before.
That's
Yeah.
sad. Yeah.
So look for that. Look for that corporal and tell him. No,
Yeah, I will do.
GSD.
No, I think after the conversation, I think I will.
Yeah. When I see friends now, because I don't get out much, sometimes I'll be up in, say, the supermarket, and someone will come up and say, bloody hell, Paul, I haven't seen you for 10 years. And I think, yeah, I remember you. You were a good mate. No, I tell them, I'll say, well, yeah, I'll see you in another 10 years. Hey, I really, really valid our friendship together all those years ago, all the things we done. And tell them. I tell the girls, the old women that I meet in their 70s, I say, do you know, I always used to have a crush on you. You were one of the most beautiful girls in the valley, whether they were or whether they're not. But I know it made their day better. Yeah. Tell people before it's too late. Yeah. Oh, what a subject.
Yeah, I will. I think I will. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that. I think I needed that. Yeah. I think it started quite a lot in the comments as well, to be honest with you.
I don't see the comments the way you see them in this streaming thing, so I'm not sure what they're talking about. Ribeyes down in there somewhere, disobeying my orders again.
Yeah.
Direct
but no, but like I say, in regards to that, you know, I think the main thing is, like I say, he needs. The thing is, you can think about what you can do and stuff like that. He's got to change his mindset. You know, that's the reality of it. It's like when he's talking about doing this mindful life thing and talking about mental health, he needs to just sort himself out before he tries to change the world, you know?
But see, well, sometimes you can't change. I can't really relate to it because, like, from the age of 15, the moment I joined the Royal Navy, before I really knew anything at all about politics, other than that I was really upset when President Kennedy got assassinated in the forces. For somehow I was drawn to politics. I mean, at 16, I was reading the Communist Party manifesto. I was reading Mein Kampf. I had textbooks on how they dealt with the communists in Malaya. That's when I started to hate communism. I have always instinctively been a nationalist for my country. I used to think, my country, right or wrong, our flag, love it or leave it. You know, now I've moderated a bit.
That's absolutely fair, and that's very respectful and admirable. You know, like me personally, mine was a completely different route. And like I say, you got to understand, like, I grew up thinking my country gave me nothing. You know, like I say, I could have easily gone into care or something like that. I grew up with nobody loving me, so it was very hard. You know, I didn't really like anything like that. But after I'd left the army, I started hearing about some of the lads killing themselves, you know, and one of my very good friends, he did it, and it just made me question everything, because when there was an inquiry about it all, the British Army just turned around and said, well, he was fine when he left us, so it must have been something to do after he'd left the army. So you got this lad who's been to Iraq, been to Afghanistan, and seen all these horrible, traumatic things, and then he kills himself a couple of months after getting out of the services, and the army's going to turn around and say, oh, well, it wasn't anything to do with what he did with us. It must have been afterwards. That kind of got me kick-started into say, right, I need to figure out what's going on here. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, and that's what got me to politics.
I'm just so thankful that I had the parents I had and the brothers I had. Yeah. And the Royal Navy, that was great for me. 15, yeah. That helped make me as well, I suppose.
No, definitely, yeah. Like I said, but you know, and this is what I'm saying. I know how bad it was to not have a father figure. Do you see what I mean? So that's why I try my best with my kids, and this is what I always say to everybody. Everybody who pretty much, I'd say, I wouldn't say everybody, I wouldn't do it, but I'd say 90% of the people that join the army as infantry soldiers all come from broken backgrounds and no GCSEs. You know, yeah. I mean, I was a bit different in the sense that I got quite good in my GCSEs, but at that point, I was sold this idea of the army, and I was like, right, I want to be a man, you know, and looking at it from everything else, I was given a long list of everything that I could do, and they even talked about sending me to university so I could join as an officer. But I was like, no, I want to be an infantry soldier. I want to join up and fight.
I had the same option when I joined the Royal Navy. I had to get I was at grammar school. Grammar schools was something different in those days. They were really good, really high education places. And when I joined the Navy, they wanted to know if I considered going through, because I was young and that. You go back to school when you're 15 in the Navy, and they said, would I consider becoming an officer? And I went away and thought about it. And the reason they wanted people like me to be officers, like this kid from the Welsh Valleys, you know, I think it was the start of the changes when they were trying to fetch in, diversify it, if you like. And I thought about it. And I thought, no, I don't want to be an officer. I want to be a radio operator.
Yeah.
I want to use a Morski. I don't want to be an officer. And I'm really glad I never went that path, because years later in Hong Kong, there was a young officer there, sub-lieutenant, and he'd chosen the officer path when given the opportunity. And he never really fitted back in because of his background, if you like. And also, in some cases, you need lots of money to be an officer in places like Hong Kong. And he didn't have it, so he went into the diving store and blew his brains out. The only burial at sea I've taken part in, burial at sea. We buried him at sea off Hong Kong, off Chung Chau Island. Yeah.
The mind, unfortunately, the mind is a fragile thing. You know, it took me years to fix mine. Maybe I'm still not fixed, but like I say, I remember as soon as I went on antidepressants, I remember I genuinely didn't spend a day without thinking about killing myself, to be honest with you. And so I just, as soon as I wised up to that, I flushed them all down the toilet. I was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And this is why I've always been quite skeptical of some medicines. I think, don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of good ones out there, but when you're looking at all these different types of antidepressants, when they all sit there turning around saying, well, one of the main side effects is having suicidal thoughts, you think, well, what's the point of that then?
Absolutely, yeah. No, I try not to take any drugs at all, or any medicine. And even though you'll see me on your drinking glasses of rum and that is very rare I do something like that. Occasionally, it's like my body needs a belt of alcohol in it, like a mineral, like salt or something. But I don't like not being under control of my senses. Certainly in places like work and that. Or if there's something to be done, I won't go near a drink. Definitely.
No, yeah. I mean, driving for a living kind of makes me realise that I can't drink anymore. I will always do it sociably.
Yeah.
But
well, I never thought I'd be able to go into a pub and order a coffee or a bottle of water. I remember the first time, you know what it's like in the forces. What do you do when you get on a train? Well, before you get on the train, you get a 6-pack of beer, so you've got something to drink on the train journey.
100%.
Yeah.
I honestly, the drinking. This is the thing. I never touched a drop of alcohol before I joined the army. Not a single drop.
Yeah, I had a shock because after I came out of the Navy and I became an IT contractor, programmer, I had the shock of my life. One day I was coming back from Salisbury. I'd been doing a contract for Friends Provident, and I got on the train without a 6-pack. Deliberately got on the train without a six-pack, and on the train all the way from Salisbury back to Newport, I was thinking, you got on the train without a 6-pack of beer, and I was amazed that I'd actually done that, because all my life I associated getting on a train with a 6-pack of beer. Strange, yeah. Well, still with us?
Yeah, crazy, man. I'm
okay, yeah.
Can you tell him?
Yeah.
Well, it's that mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, I might clip this conversation. I'll edit certain bits out and just put it up as our conversation. Some people like to listen to other people talking. When you make your videos,
Yeah,
Chesty,
no, definitely. I like.
do you
Go on.
do you hate the sound of your own voice?
Yeah, I can't stand the sound of my own voice, to be honest with you.
No, no. I know for me it's
Yeah, I
hard
hate it.
bloody work. Ah,
Yeah, that's sometimes I've made mistakes on videos, and the only reason I've not caught it out is because I just don't like listening to my own voice.
yeah. I shoot it and then
It was a
out the
weird one
little
for
door
me.
with it. Yeah. Anyhow,
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew about it, but I got a little camera and I can go outside now. I can't go. It's so bloody annoying. We had a beautiful day yesterday. Today's the day I have once a month we have our great granddaughter. Her name is Bonnie. Beautiful. She's 5. And so we've got her today. I've got to go and pick her up for school, and then I've got to take her home this evening. And all the time, because we have talked to each other on the phone, and she's been nagging me about her drone.
Oh, great.
Well, the thing is, as you know, we took it off because, like, she crashed it in, knocked everything over in the house. Don't fly a drone in the house, especially controlled by a 4-year-old. So, but I told her it had to be sent off for a bit. But now she's 5. She thinks she's ready to handle it. I don't know. So I thought, great. So I got the drone, charged all the batteries on it. I thought, today, after I pick her up from school, I'm going to take her straight to the park and let her have another go at the drone without there being any ornaments or human beings about. And the weather now is total shit. So, yeah. Great grandchildren.
Oh, that'd be good then. Yeah, no, it'd be good. It'd be good. I've invested in a microphone and a stand now as well for mine, because that one thing I found, again, it goes, not trying to pick on him or anything like that, but one of the things that I had quite a few good conversations, and I thought, right, I'm gonna have to listen to them back to make sure they're all right. The problem that I got was Nat was speaking too loudly, trying to get, because he's too emotional. He's got to think logically and not get too emotional. But you can't hear what I'm saying or the other person saying because he's too busy shouting behind the phone. So he's got to the point now where I'm like, maybe I should go to these places by myself for a bit, So I've got my camera.
What you really need is, and I'm going to have to give him some praise here, but I'll kick him down to size later on. You need someone who's been with you for a long time, like Ribeye. Rob and I have been together since 2006, as you know.
Yeah.
And I know in this channel now, Discord or something like that on, if there's something happening in the background, Discord, Ribeye has picked up on it at almost the same time as I pick up on something. And before I can say, get me a link to this, Ribeye, the link is already there. We work as a team and we understand each other, and he understands what I need. Like in this conversation now, if we were talking about something, I know Ribeye would be looking off somewhere, looking for information on what it is I'm talking about and ensuring that my facts are correct. So if you had someone like him with you, you know that you were covered. You could concentrate on what you were doing, whilst your sidekick, like say Ribeye, would be looking out for your back to protect you, and he would also be seeing if there was anything you needed to continue with doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's good.
Like Batman and Robin.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I think he will get there. He just, like I say, he needs to do a little bit of homework first. He needs to understand the game. Like I say, not look at it emotionally. Like we all want our country back. We all here for the same reasons, but we've got to think logically how we've got to do it. Rome wasn't built in a day, and he's there. Like I say, he's thinking that all these people can sit in a room all together that actually hate each other and be like, oh yeah, we'll all get, it just doesn't work like that. Like I could never sit down. Yeah, I could never sit down and work out something with someone like you know, Nigel Farage and say, right, yeah, okay. Say if I was in a position of power, I could never sit down with him because I hate everything you stand for.
But yeah,
No?
this is why I was. I
Mm.
don't know if you saw the video I put up yesterday about Paul Thorpe and Richard Inman, but I watched their live stream. I don't know if you watched it. And first of all, Richard Inman calls us mongrels and morons and scum. Then he talks about unity and says that Rupert Lowscoe should sit down with Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson and others and Ben Habib and make
Yeah.
peace.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he's just an idiot. I'm sorry. I don't like to speak ill of somebody who can't really be here to defend themselves. But I'll be honest with you. I know a few times he's turned around and said, "Right, okay, someone's called me an idiot. Let's get it on." I would say to him, "All right, then name the time and the place, and I'll come with you. You know, I'll come there. You know." But to have that mindset is a complete idiot. You know. You will there's always going to be things that you will agree with somebody on and disagree. That's just the reality of life when we're on such big spectrum. But at the end of the day, when you get to that point of, right, okay, now I'm going to start insulting people, you've washed your hand of any ability to actually do anything. You know, like I've always turned around and said, I think it would be great for Rupert Lowe to call Nigel Farage out to debate him, you know, as if to say, I'm going to get you now because you tried to ruin my flipping life. But I would never turn around and say it was a good idea for Rupert Lowe to sit down with Nigel Farage and say, right, okay, what can we do to sort out the country? Because probably 90% of Restore voters will turn around and be like, well, fuck you. This isn't what you promised me.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
it's just silly. But yeah, like I said, I'll say this. I don't know him personally, but from what he's portraying himself out to be, I would say, Richard Imam, you're an idiot. And obviously, if he listens to this and wants to threaten me, okay, tell me where to get a plane or a ferry, and I'll tell him to his face. I'm not bothered.
Yeah, well, he's over in Belfast. He's over in Northern Ireland.
Well, he says
he's
he's a boxer. Says he's a boxer. I used to be a boxer. He could probably beat me up. I don't care, but I still get in the ring with him. This is the thing when people start, and this is the one thing I've always said in the political scale. When people start resorting to, oh, if he was here, I'll punch him. If he was here, I'd deck him. They've already lost the argument. That's that to me. But I've always said this. You have now lost the argument. But I'll turn around and say, you've lost the argument, but okay, I'll get in the ring with you. But I'll always say, let's do it for charity. Because anything you can do that does some good, I'm like, yeah, we'll go for it, you know?
I understand. Once they threaten someone with violence, come around and stuff like that, they have lost the argument. And you know, and sometimes these people don't realize the kind of person they're talking to, do they? They don't know how far a person will go because they don't know that person.
I think I always remember this. I'll tell you a funny story about 6 months ago. I was on my break in London and I'd managed to park my car quite safe near around to where Speaker's Corner was. And I'd seen a load of videos and stuff like that. And I thought, well, I'll go around there and have a look. And then there was quite a big stocky guy there. And he was just waffling so much crap about Islam. So I started challenging him on things. And I was challenging him on things. And I was talking about the Sahara Nisa. You know, he tried to turn around and say that Islam was a religion of feminism and a religion of peace. And I said, well, nobody said it was. I said, nobody says it was a religion of peace until George Bush, and you guys have just jumped on that. And I said, in terms of feminism, you know, I said it's bollocks because Surah Al-Nisa turns around and says that a man must do what a woman says, essentially. And because I'd known my text, he started to get angry with me. And he was like, oh, well, you know, you wouldn't last 5 minutes in a cage fight with me. So I gave him my email address. I said, you know what? You've lost the debate. Here's my email address. Get it on if you want. I never heard back from him. But then somebody turned around to me like a few weeks later because I was walking through the park again. He said, you were the one that was debating with that Mohammed Hijab, wasn't you? And I was like, who's that? And he says, oh, he's supposed to be like it's supposed to be like a notorious hate preacher, and he does a lot of cage fighting in his spare time. But I was there like, yeah, here's my email address. I'll fight you if that's what you want, but I'm not bothered, you know. Apparently he's supposed to be a really big name. Mohammed Hijab, I think he said his name was, but I don't, you know, you type in Mohammed into the search engine and there's millions of people. So you just don't know, do you?
No, you don't. You don't. Well,
Yeah,
Love to see what happens.
that was a funny story. I laughed about that when I got told about that. I was like, well, he probably would have handed my arse to me, but I still won the debate.
You know, I have to close the live stream down soon, JST, because I've got
Yeah,
some
I've got to
videos
go.
to get out. But
Yeah, don't worry about it.
what was I thinking about? Oh yeah, the times are changing. Like we've spoke about before, how the BNP and National Front were vilified, yeah. But people's attitudes to that is changing. Now think about what we are saying. What do we say? We say they are all going back. We are going to send them back. You are going back. They are all going back. Deport, deport, deport. I remember a few years ago, a guy getting banged up for saying to a coloured person, go back to your own country. And he got banged up for that. And we are not seeing that now. We're seeing Facebook arrests, but we're not seeing people being arrested for saying we're going to deport all of the Muslims. Yeah. But
Yeah, I tell you what, the people that we really, really need to thank for this, and I think I'll be honest with you, I'd even go as far as to say, you know, they need some kind of recognition. I wouldn't say a knighthood, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a royalist anymore by any means. I couldn't be further against the royal family, if I'm being honest. But the people that are on that free speech union, they're the ones that have really opened everything up, and they really, really need some definite recognition, because if it wasn't for them, people like me and you would be locked up now. You know, that's the reality of it. It's people actually doing their homework, people much smarter than me, going through years and years and years of text and laws and stuff like that, and realizing, no, we are protected, and this is the reason why. Like it's like that old saying, you're not guilty of murder until it's been proven in court, you know. So you could sit there and turn around and say, well, yeah, I murdered this person to somebody, but until they prove it in court, you technically could get away with it scot-free, you know. So it's all about all this time. The sad reality of it is there's people that have probably spent years and years and years in jail, when if we had what we've got now with the free speech union, they wouldn't have even got to court in most cases.
No. Well, if we take, say, Lucy Connolly, right? Terrible what happened to her. Terrible. But
yeah.
With regards to the greater good of the country, when they locked up Lucy Connolly, they made a martyr of her, and her imprisonment woke up a lot of people. So sadly, painful as it is for an individual, sometimes a movement needs martyrs.
Yeah, 100%.
Paul Peter Lynch, Paul Peter Lynch, his death, the guy became a martyr.
Yeah, I always say to people as well, sorry, I'll say this one last thing, because I know we both need to go, to be fair, but it's like when I talk about Keir Starmer, I say it was great that he was elected. I think it was fantastic that he was elected. Look at how many people now. We are more united on this planet than what we've ever been united before. The world has been opened up to the fact that there can be so much corruption. And I'm saying all these things come out, all these scandals come out. Keep going. You know, David Lammy, you keep swiping that credit card on £200, £300 breakfast, because we all need to wake up. The problem that I've got, though, is now when people are turning around and saying Keir Starmer needs to resign, I'm like, no way, get him sat there, because Shabana Mahmood's going to replace him. I'll tell you that now. I pray to God that I'm wrong, but I am almost certain that Shabana Mahmood's going to replace him, and she will do what all the Muslim men tell her to do. That's the reality of it, because like she said in that interview, Islam means to her more than anything else.
Yeah.
And in Islam, it turns around and says, Surah Al-Nisa, anybody can look it up, that women must obey their men. And in the sense that, and then when you consider the Ummah means the entire Muslim community, that's why that's why they say that. So pretty much any man can command any woman in the streets in any Muslim country. It's just how it is. Anybody who thinks otherwise, I'd say get on the plane and go over there. You know, so when they're going to have that, you're going to have all these people, and then you're going to have a year of Islam, which we've already got anyway, don't get me wrong, but it's just going to be Islam getting into all our institutions on steroids. So then when we've got Rupert Lowe in, it's going to be even harder to get these people out.
We are buying time. The longer Starmer's in, the better.
Yeah,
Right up until
100%.
the
Keep him in
general
there.
election. Every
Yeah.
day we grow stronger. We don't want a general election now, that's for sure.
100%.
Maybe,
And I'll say this to him. I'll say, Keir Starmer, if you're listening, I will order those rent boys to number 10. I will pay for them. You don't need to worry about not paying them. I will pay them for you.
Wait, GST. There was a post put up by Rupert Lowe earlier, and the courts have said they are not going to release the motives why those Ukrainian rent boys did what they did. So they're not going to release the motives. That's one of the stories I want to cover. You might want to look into it also.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I will. Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll probably.
They're going to bring them to their own trial, but they're not going to ask them why they did it, even though they probably know. That's not to be mentioned in the court. They're only going to be tried on what they did, not why they did it. Yeah.
Wow, there we go. And that, you know what? People turn around and kick up and uproar about that. I'm like, let's have more of it, because it actually makes it worse. That's the reality of it now. Like I say, as soon as the police don't release a description of the attacker or the murderer or something like that, we all know who it's going to be. Like there was that guy in Liverpool. When there was that guy in Liverpool that plowed through. They say plowed through the crowds. They literally had got a full description of him before they'd even put him in the police van.
There's another story as well that's broken today. Remember the 2 hotels, migrant hotels? The police report doesn't name them as migrant hotels. Well, he burnt one hotel down and he tried to burn another down. Same guy. And at first, of course, they were saying, it was white right-wingers who were setting fire to the hotels. And it turned out that the guy, it's in the newspaper today, I could call it up, he was actually an immigrant, an illegal immigrant staying in the hotels. And but there's very little about that in the newspapers today or on the mainstream media. It wasn't Whitey, it was an immigrant who set fire to the hotels. That's another video I've got to get out this morning.
And that's one thing I would say to you, if that's what you're talking about, the one thing I say look into is like my theory here on this one, and I've said it was the very first video that I ever put out. It's got hardly any views. These people that come here, they come here because they get told about all the benefits. Obviously, either that or they're invaders. That's the reality of it. They're invaders, the benefits, or the cowards. But when they're coming over here, they can tell that the vast majority of this country don't want them here. They don't want them here. They're not interested. So this is why they are going around and committing crimes. This is why they are going out raping people. That's why they're celebrating after they've done it. It's why they're stabbing people. It's why they're burning places down. Because once they're in jail, what's going to happen? Oh, look, we can't deport them now because they've got to serve the sentence.
Yeah.
And that's honestly, that's the reality of it. So the more and more our movement gets up, we've got to keep our women and our children away from towns and city centres. I know that sounds really harsh, but that's the reality of it. Unless you can be there to protect your woman, unless you can be there to protect anybody, and your children, you can just say you've got to stay away from it.
But GST, you've seen the videos and the images of, say, these cities like Manchester and Nottingham, of young women out at night. They barely dressed in their freezing weather. their mini skirts or their mini dresses, with their tramline eyebrows, their plastic-filled, Botox-filled lips. They look ridiculous. But we've got to really educate our young women and bring them back to value and respect themselves as young women.
You know what? I'll say this, and I will defend women on this respect. It's the men that are the problem with that, And I've said this to everybody. I've been brutally honest with people. I've disowned people, and I've completely distanced myself from people that I know have got OnlyFans accounts and stuff like that. Because it's like women will follow what they think that the men want. Because that's the reality of it. Some women don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be sexist here, but as a general rule, the men are the leaders and the women are the followers. It's just how society's worked for tens of thousands of years. So why would it change now? But
I agree.
because the women have been brought up to be like, you know, we value you, you're empowered, you do this, you know, all these men are going to pay you thousands of pounds to do all these degenerate things online. Then it's just completely wired scenarios up and wired situations up. So now women are encouraging themselves to go out and get that 1% of man, and so that they're doing what they think that the 1% of men want. And it's just like, well, no, those 1% of men, they're just using you because they can. You know, when you realize that the vast majority of men, we just want a family, we want conservatism, you know, we want respectable behavior. The women will change with it, you know. So I would say to anybody's listening to this, if you've got an OnlyFans account, if you look at porn regularly, get off it, delete it all, stop it. It will warp your mind. And not only that, it will encourage these women to think that that is the kind of behavior that we men want. Yeah. You know, I think it's disgusting. It's disgusting, you know.
And they encourage each other with their bad behavior. With regard body count and stuff like that. Why not? Men do it, we can do it. Yeah. They don't realize you were right. Most guys, they just want a nice, decent companion for life to raise their children and family and work together as a team, and knowing that each other one has the other one's back. Listen, I'm going to have to wind it up now, GST, much as I dislike it. I've got to get ready.
That's it. I'm going to get a phone call in a minute. But where are you? What are you doing?
I'm going to get shifting as well.
It's one of them. This is the thing about with you. You're somebody that literally someone could come on to have a 10-minute chat with, and before you know it, it's been 2 or 3 hours.
Well, I think we bounce off each other. We're both capable of carrying a conversation. So many people don't realize that the conversation should be a two-way thing. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, 100%. Then, my friend. Do you want to say goodbye to the viewers?
Yeah, well, thank you, everybody. I hope people haven't turned off. But I've always, honestly, this community that you've built here, no matter how big or how small it is, it's the finest community I've ever been a part of, to be honest with you. So, honestly, thank you ever so much for being so invited and helping me along the way. I massively appreciate it.
Salute, sir.
And
GST, great guy. You know, I've got my camera to go out. No, my microphone to go outside. I'm going to get something else. You know what? I'll spend it. I'm going to get a gimbal. Because I want to go to these demonstrations and protests. And a gimbal can be a good weapon. Let's have a tune to close down, guys, and then we'll wind it down. Let's get something that we like. Let's have a look. What should we play? Let's play this out. Last track.
The old lion stood firm when the sirens would wail. Never give in without fail. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the fields. We shall never surrender, no matter what yields. I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. He meant every word, no shadow of regret. This was their finest hour, he said through the night. And the people believed him, he gave us the light. But you're not the old lion, Sir Flip-Flop, no. You're not the old lion, and we need you to know. He carried our hope when the world was afraid. You promised us change and let that hope fade. You're not the old lion, we're telling you true. You're not the old lion, and we're done believing in you. If you're going through hell, keep going, he'd say. While the cities were burning, he showed us the way. The price of greatness is responsibility. He lived every word for the nation to see. He walked through the rubble, shook hands in the street, gave courage to strangers with nothing to eat. A voice in the darkness that steadied our fears. A leader who earned every one of our cheers. But you're not the old lion, say flip-flop no. You're not the old lion, and the country says so. He lifted us up when the skies were all black. You took away warmth and you never gave back. You're not the old lion, we're telling you true. You're not the old lion, and we're done believing in you. With big promises, hope in your eyes, a new day for Britain.
Hi Kirsty, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. Guys, this is our latest member. I think you'll be a sub-lieutenant starting off, Kirsty. I like your avatar, by the way, and I love your green art, so thank you very much for becoming a member. Big help. Thank you, Patriot. Sadly, we're just about to close up Kirsty. These things happen. And yeah, thanks for becoming a member. Back to the song. I have to go and get my great granddaughter, Kirsty, which is why we're closing.
An end to the lies, then winter fuel gone. For the old and the cold, while gifts and free tickets and suits were your gold. The trust that we gave you has slipped through your hands. The dreams that we shared lie buried in sand. No enemy marching, no bombs in the sky, just choices you made while the people ask why. The old lion lost once the fighting was done, but he won in the war, the hardest one. You've lost in the peace that you swore you would bring, and the silence is louder than anything. No, you're not the old lion, sir flip-flop no. You're not the old lion, and we want you to know we stood with the old lion through fire and through pain, but we won't stand with you, not ever again. We will not fight on the beaches for you. We will not fight in the fields for you. We will not fight in the streets for you. We will not fight anywhere for you. You wanker!
Okay, guys, that's a wrap then. You've been listening to Paul Morris, the Green Arrow, in our chat room, or whatever they call it. Yeah, and our moderator has been Well, yes, yeah, a bit more than mediocre today. He's been our average moderator today, hasn't he? Fortunately, we've got some other moderators out there to keep an eye on him. Will there be another live feed today? I really don't know. Definitely not this afternoon, because depends where my great-granddaughter wants to go. I tend to spoil her. Parents hate me because I'm always spending money on her, taking her to toy shops. And they say I can only spend so much. Yeah. Wait until they see my will. I spoil her rotten. Okay, guys, and will there be one tonight? I don't know. It depends on what time I get back from taking her home to her parents. I'll see you in the next one, guys. That's a wrap.